All right. So this morning, we put our wheels up here and we decided that from our prompt, which is right there, we decided that we were going to go with the abstract noun of power. And then as we develop this essay, we'll twist that and how it's not power in a good way, but an abuse of it, right? Then the students in class decided these were the three things that we wanted to focus on. The first one was how we were going to take things away, or how Napoleon started taking things away. And I don't even want to say it was just Napoleon in this sense, because it was the pigs in general that started taking some things away. The second big support for our essay was like the punishments that ultimately led to the killings. And then finally, how the commandments changed. And one of the things you guys talked about this morning, correct me if I'm wrong, was that you kind of wanted to end this with the fact that it went from 7 commandments to just one statement, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So let's just look. We're going to look at this paragraph. We're going to plan this paragraph. And then we're going to build these 3 so that we're ready to start typing. Sound good? All right, so power is our word. What's the first thing? What goes on our first spoke?
Use it.
You're going to use that word. Bottom line, this essay is going to start with the word power.
Power.
What's the next thing we're going to do?
Define it.
Great. We're going to define it. What's the third spoke, Ashley? You're going to declare, oh, she's right up here. You're going to introduce the story, and with that, you're going to introduce the author. And I think this would be a good time to tell how it's an allegorical piece. It's based off the Russian Revolution and Joseph Stalin's totalitarian government. So it's going to be a big sentence, but we can do that. So we're going to introduce the novel. What happens with this book? Because this is usually the weirdest one, like the hardest one.
You have to tie it to the story.
You tie the abstract noun, you tie that to the story, right? And then what's our final spoke in that first wheel?
Thesis.
Our thesis. And in this case, our thesis involves the taking away, so I'm just going to put TA here, the punishments and killings, the P and K, comma, and then the commandments, right? Okay, so we have planned out our first paragraph. Now let's just go here. These are what? What needs to happen on this spoke, this spoke, and this spoke?
Introducing transition.
You need to transition. One of the things that we don't come to honors doing that, and that's okay because you're working on other things, but when we get here into the honors classroom, we really have to start transitioning. You can't just give me a bulleted list. So, how would we transition into this? And let's not say in the beginning, later, and in the end, because that's not true. This is all the time, right? This happens throughout. This happens throughout. But I will give you a clue. This is the what?
Inciting incident?
That would be taking Kate.
No, I like what she's saying, but I don't want to get caught up in the plot development because that's not what we're exploring. But I think this is like the first thing that truly happens, right? So the first thing that happens after...
The animals take over.
So the first thing, and we'll get to that on Monday because we won't get that far today. And those of you at home are seeing this later, so the days won't be correct. When does this start happening? What's the first punishment that we can think of?
Well, that would be,
If they didn't work, they'd get half ration.
Okay, is that the first time they were punished though?
I think it might be.
That had to do with the voluntary hours, right? But they weren't really voluntary because if they didn't work, they weren't getting fed. Quinn?
When Napoleon was kicked out,
not pulling down.
Who?
or Snowball,
Do you think that would be the first time they were punished?
Not really. I mean, yeah, they're punishing stuff.
It could be, cause it is later, right? So do we wanna say here, we could introduce it by talking about, that Snowball is eventually kicked off of the farm and at that time things get worse? Okay, so let's just put here Snowball, but I'm gonna say after because we do have to transition. So after Snowball is finally kicked off of the farm, and then we'd move from there. And then, what about commandments? How can we transition into this? You're not on screen, I am. Give me-
as the story goes on, the commandments are removed from.
Or slowly removed? Or slowly changed?
Okay, we'll keep that in mind, cause I'm just putting it as a story, I'm not spending too much time planning, because that takes away from writing time, remember? So now, we have power as our abstract noun, the taking away of things, the punishments that led up ultimately to the killings, and the commandments that leads ultimately to just one rule. What word can we put in the middle here? What abstract noun can go here?
Privilege?
Hannah?
Well, if we're going gradually from talking about how the power gets more and more corrupt as it goes on, we put abuse at the bottom.
I like abuse. What were you thinking?
Maybe tyranny.
Tyranny, which is the tyrannical rule, right? What do you guys think? Any other words? I'm gonna do this, Quinn. I'm gonna put abuse in the middle. But I wanna use your word somewhere. So how about I stick it here in our final statement? We'll do something with tyranny here. We feel good about that? Okay, so then we're using both of them. All right, what happens here?
Restate thesis.
Now I have a question. I have a few of you that keep speaking out and many of you that are quiet. How many of you know this stuff? You're just not saying it out loud. Know this. Know how to set it up. We haven't gotten to the hard part. This stuff we're doing right now is super easy. Okay, what happens here, kids? Donnie?
Kind of like summarizing the second paragraph.
We're summarizing paragraph 2, which is
Taking
Take-
away.
the first thing, right? And what happens here?
Summarizes the third paragraph.
We're summarizing the third paragraph, which is the second body paragraph, right? And then here we are summarizing the fourth paragraph, which is the third body paragraph. Now that being said, we gotta put a word. You can't leave it blank. What goes here?
Taking.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this word. Lost, like they lost so much, right? What about here? What did you say, Cooper? Well, definitely murder's happening there, but can we say just the punishment? Now, can we put murder in this sentence, Cooper?
Yeah.
Yes. Keep that in mind, cause I'm gonna forget. I'll put it here. I'll put murder. And then finally, this would be, I'm gonna put the new commandment, cause it's the only commandment. All right. It's looking good. All right, now, I split the in-person kids up to give me page numbers here and words. I need page numbers and word prompts. So this group right here, you are in charge of taking things away. What did we decide was the first thing?
Milk and apples.
Milk and apples. I'm gonna put M and A. Can you guys write milk and apples so that we know what that is on Monday? And what page is that on? Is that
35 and 36. That's
30?
when they explained they took it.
35 and 36? Okay. What's another thing that was taken away from the animals? You guys should be looking
Their
here.
rations. I
They're-
don't know an example of it yet.
The rations. Do you have a page, Ethan, for that, or did you have a different idea?
I was gonna say what Emerald was, but I actually don't know what the page number was.
Let's find it, everybody. Look for when the rations were taken away. Now, remember, don't put the rations that you're using here, not the rations that were cut because of Sunday. Their rations were cut before that, weren't they? Ethan,
Page 59.
what is it?
Page 59.
5-9?
Yeah.
Okay. Magda, that's not about the windmill, right?
No.
Perfect.
Well, it's on building the windmill. That's whenever it started.
But that's not where they cut the rations for not working, right? That's after they rebuilt it the second time, isn't it?
That was like
Wait,
while
this
they were
is
building.
this is the one
Okay.
with the volunteer work.
This one is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's voluntary.
So where do we want that to go? Or do we want it here? If it goes here, it can't go here. Do we have enough here for punishments? Okay. So then what's the last thing that they got taken away? Don't say their lives.
They said they might have to replace those a little bit, but I remember in the beginning they took away the sugar and the ribbons.
That was only for
That,
Molly.
yeah, that was,
She left.
Hannah?
I don't know if we wanna say, like, Snowball was taken away from them. Or like, maybe you could say the dogs, they took their security away, or like their sense of peace.
The hens
Cool.
and their eggs.
Oh, the hens and the
Oh, that's
eggs?
all
I thought that was.
I think that was a,
Punishment.
right. No,
That was more, I don't know that was a punishment.
They were they punished them for not
That
giving
was
them
to
the
pay
egg.
for the windmill.
That was for the contract. They weren't punishing the hens. They just
So would that work here then?
They
Yeah.
took away the hens' rations. for
I
I
not-
like that, Hannah. I wanna find somewhere like the security, that could come even here,
there are two
when we
different
bring in a dog.
There are two different cases when they punished the hens and took away their eggs, and when they just took away the eggs.
Alright, so where's the page where they're punishing them?
76.
76.
Yeah, it's talking about when the contract was mentioned, the heads were like, oh no.
Okay, and then I would end this up with, like, as the story went on, they had less and less, right? To live on. So I'm just gonna put less and less there. Good job. How much time we got? We're gonna get through this. All right, punishments and killings. What was the first punishment? Clara,
Them chasing out Snowball. The
Would-
dog.
would we agree with that, kids? The first punishment?
It could be kind of.
Okay, so we got Snowball, what else do we have? What were you gonna say, honey?
Oh, I was going to say like, maybe it was like a punishment for like, not really like a punishment for Snowball, it was more Napoleon just trying to like, take over, it's not really like,
Right. Well, then we need 3. We need 3 though. Give me something. What do you got, Ashley?
They were punished after they tried to confess because they killed a bunch of animals.
I think that should.
They, I can't hear any. What?
They were punished, but because they were killed after they confessed to the crimes that they committed.
Oh, okay, but we need to move that back here, so you wanna say that, the animals' confessions? You gotta find me a page, Ashley, you got one?
I do, but I think our page numbers might be different.
Oh. No, are you sure?
She has a different sense book.
Oh, okay.
Pictures.
What page is yours on, and we'll see if somebody else can find it. Claire, can you, go back there and see if you can find a page that we have, but mark the page you have, Ashley.
Okay.
Hannah, what were you thinking?
I was thinking that maybe we'd move concessions back to the middle spoke, because I marked something down. I think I call it like disbelief, where the animals were saying they couldn't believe such a treacherous act had happened, showing that
Okay.
the pigs are getting more aggressive as it goes on.
Okay, so what page would that be on?
Hold on, I marked it.
I think I spelled that wrong. B-I-L-I-E-F.
B-E-L-I-E-F.
Oh my gosh.
It's a quote right between, it goes through 84 through 85.
Okay. So we've got disbelief on page 84 and 85, and so then we'll put here the, confessions. So we just gotta find that page. So what's the first punishment then?
The hens were starved.
Ooh. That's a good one. The hens were starved. So I need pages for these kids. I need a page for the hens where they were starved. And I need a page where the animals were giving all those bogus confessions. What do you got?
It was 84.
Confessions?
Yeah.
Confessions is on 84. And what about where the hens were starved, kids?
Probably around 76, so would be around.
Around that time.
You gotta give me the page. Well, he's looking for that, or while they're, you guys are
Yeah,
looking
it's
for it,
on,
I'm gonna
it's on 76, yeah.
How did you know that?
What?
That's so weird, how did you know that?
I'm looking at it.
Okay, so, and I got one here because in the end, it ends up being just one rule, right? Okay. 3 changes in the commandments, let's go with the big ones. Cooper, give me one, and you can tell me whichever one it is and where it goes.
I was gonna go with the one where Snowball was chased out, and going with how that was against the Friends one.
And I think that's a good one to put here, because, he's talking about Snowball getting chased off the farm, because it's after Snowball's chased off that things really go downhill, right? So what page is that?
It's on page 52, 53.
5-2?
Yeah, mainly 52, I think.
That's okay. I just don't know if you're saying 50 or 60 under the math. Okay, what's another commandment change that was huge? Quinn?
Whatever goes on 2 legs is an enemy. Because they started talking to Whipper.
That'll be the
Okay.
last one.
That
since-
might be the last one. So that'd be 2 legs. What page is that?
So it could be like one of the last paragraphs.
Yeah, just because it said, what's her name, screen.
What about in the middle? What's the other big one we wanna do? Anna?
I'm looking for a page number for it right now, but I think that maybe we should add the first one that like blatantly breaks the rules, so, no animals sleep in bed or sheets, so commandment 4.
And we can somehow in here remind me that we wanna mention that there are several that change. Because they all end up changing, right? And we wanna have that final one here. So what do you got, Clara?
So for the 2 legs one, it's on page 134. That's when they taught the sheep to say 4 legs good, 2 legs better.
Okay, and sheets, where's that happen? I need a page. Ella? 67. All right, we are planned. So those of you at home need to freeze the video and get this written down so that you have it.
Remember to tilt your camera down at the end to see that bottom stuff.
Are they not seeing it? Oh, there we go. Thank you, Kale. I moved that down a little bit for those of you at home.